Eluh and Gitua's application for review dismissed. Kina Asset Management records close to 5 million Kina in profit. And Oil Search Limited's proposal to acquire Interoil.
This is National MTV News with Meriba Tulo.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for Friday's news. The application to review the National Court decision on the termination of police officers Thomas Eluh and Timothy Gitua was dismissed by the Supreme Court this morning. The grounds upon which the application was raised include the applicants having an arguable case and that both had sufficient interest in the matter. Both Eluh and Gitua were terminated in 2015 by Police Commissioner Gary Baki on disciplinary grounds.
Justice Eric Kariko handed down the decision before a packed courtroom today. This case involves the powers of a police commissioner when suspending or terminating a police officer. There are two arguments in this matter. The first is whether the decision of the police commissioner on a disciplinary matter is amendable to judicial review and whether the police commissioner can review his decision on the disciplinary matter. The applicants argued that Commissioner Baki made the decision in his capacity as a disciplinary officer and can review that decision as the commissioner. However, the court found that under the Police Act, the commissioner can also act as a disciplinary officer and thus have powers to discipline any members of RPNGC. The orders made under this ruling include the substantive application for judicial review to proceed before the Waigani National Court and the appellant to pay each cost of appeal. Thakla Gunga, National MTV News.
Despite first quarter market uncertainty in both domestic and international markets, Kina Asset Management Limited recorded an investment gain of 1.4%, following on from their 2015 net profit of 4.74 million Kina. The POMSOX and ASX listed company held their 2016 annual general meeting in Port Moresby this week.
In spite of the country's volatile economic environment, Kina Asset Management Limited has continued its momentum from 2015. Chief Executive Officer Sid Yates told shareholders that 2015 had been a period of great success and dramatic change for the company, stating that the 350 million Kina acquisition of Maybank in September last year had doubled the size of the company's banking business.
The acquisition was vitally important for this organisation, creating a solid platform for the future. It provided us with a banking licence, which enabled us to source funds from depositors and investors at a lower cost than previously, when we operate as a finance company. It dramatically increased the scale of our business, with loans and deposits doubling in size.
The company recorded an investment gain of 1.4% or 0.7 million Kina for the quarter, following an appreciation of the Australian dollar and the subsequent decline of the Kina, depreciating to around 7%.
For Kina, it was a vote of confidence from the global investment community that this company was worthy of support, had experienced management in place, and capacity to deliver strong returns in the future. For the country, it demonstrated that the international investment community was confident in the future of the nation and was comfortable that the PNG banking industry was soundly regulated with healthy prudential standards and sophisticated operating practices.
Detailing the portfolio, Sir Rabi said that the company has maintained a larger international exposure in agreement with the goal of providing local investors within international markets. Commenting on the global economy, he said that growth is expected to be restrained as major economies continue to diverge. On the domestic front, the country is feeling the effects of the decline of commodity prices in the wake of the LNG construction era. Leon Jarari, National MTV News.
In a deal that may potentially see the creation of Papua New Guinea's very own oil and gas giant, Oil Search has made two major announcements today. The first, a proposed acquisition of 100% of Interoil in a deal that is worth approximately 6.5 billion Kina, And secondly, a memorandum of understanding between Oil Search and Total for the sale of 60% of Interoil's stake in Petroleum Retention License 15, as well as 62% of Interoil's exploration assets to Total. The moves by Oil Search and Interoil have been unanimously recommended by both company boards, with Interoil's board urging its shareholders to approve the acquisition proposal put forward by Oil Search at its annual general meeting next month. A joint statement was released this morning informing the market of the proposed acquisition of Interoil's business by Oil Search. According to Oil Search Managing Director Peter Botten, the acquisition is aimed at creating and delivering value for shareholders.
The first one is that the boards of Oil Search and Interoil have agreed to potentially merge the two organisations. So Oil Search will effectively acquire, issue shares in Oil Search for the acquisition of the Interoil company.
Furthermore, Oil Search has also announced that it has entered into a memorandum of understanding with Total for a back-to-back farm-out of Interoil's interest in PRL 15, which will see 60% of Interoil's interest bought off by Total.
The second deal that we announced today is we've acquired, as I say, potentially Interoil, but we've also sold down then 60% of the interests in Interoil's licenses to Total, the French company, who already operate Elk Antelope. So effectively what that does is it provides Oil Search with substantial cash. Total will pay us an equivalent value for their share, 60% of Interoil. It bolsters our balance sheet. It aligns Oil Search and Total in a program of development for Elk Antelope and various ways in which Elk Antelope development and Papua LNG can cooperate with PNG LNG.
These developments by Oil Search come at a time when the industry is suffering from a downturn in global activity, which have resulted in low world oil prices.
So we think it's probably 3.5 months before this deal could be concluded. It is an agreed deal between the two boards of the companies, but it's up to the shareholders to decide whether this goes ahead or not. So it's about 3.5, maybe 3 months between now and when we can finalise this. Yeah, I've always thought we were a national champion. We're just a bigger champion now if this deal goes ahead. And it gives us, as I say, a very strong balance sheet, gives us a very strong set of assets, and it gives us a great platform and program to develop the next phase of PNG LNG, the next phase of Papua LNG, and to be very influential in that process.
Oil Search is confident that through this acquisition, it is demonstrating the potential of doing business in the oil, gas and energy sector in Papua New Guinea.
This deal delivers us the keys to really drive our next phase of growth, optimising our own interests in PNG LNG and Papua LNG. And we've done it at a good, fair price for everyone.
The Independent Consumer and Competition Commission has begun consulting businesses in the country to gather views to make changes to its current business and consumer laws. A workshop held in Kokoda yesterday revealed why the organization is taking the move to make these changes. This comes after ICCC realized that its laws have not been effectively implemented as it should to provide fair deals between business and consumers in PNG.
The Independent Consumer and Competition Commission, or ICCC, is working to re-establish itself and make its presence felt in a big way. Yesterday in Kokoda, it released a discussion paper to seek public views on the possible changes to the legislations governing the performance of businesses and consumers.
Not everybody is aware of the ICCC, and one of the aims is to make sure people have an understanding of the ICCC and what job it does.
In 2002, the PNG government passed the ICCC Act, a legislation governing how businesses and consumers should operate. In the last 14 years since its establishment, the laws haven't been practical. The issue of concerns have been the laws governing consumer protection, competition and fair trading of businesses, and industry regulation and pricing.
PNG has had these laws in force for 14 years now, And so the Department of Treasury has asked for a review of those to see if they're working well, to see if there's ways of improving them.
It's a joint effort by the Department of Treasury, the ICCC itself and business houses to find the weaknesses in these ICCC laws and strengthen them so that businesses and consumers should operate according to a standard guided by these laws.
Many businesses already are aware, but then there are a number of businesses who don't know much about it yet, and we're concerned to find ways for the message to be spread to more businesses.
The discussions come at a time as the public continues to question the existence of the ICCC and what it does to bring business operations in the country to a suitable standard. Although the ICCC laws have been in place, it has never been imposed effectively. The general sentiment outlined by ICCC is that not all businesses and consumers in the country know these laws, so it wants to get them to know it and stick to it. Edwin Fidelis, National MTV News, Kokopo.
Still to come on National MTV News, Prime Minister O'Neill responds to students' petitions, a Kokoda challenge to raise funds for charity, and another successful year for Bank South Pacific. Welcome back to National MTV News. The Prime Minister has written to the Students' Representative Council Presidents of Unitec and UPNG. Two separate letters were received late this afternoon, shortly after the Unitec SRC representative, David Kelma, acknowledged receiving the letter from the Prime Minister.
Mr. O'Neill says that the petition contains issues which are technical and legal in nature. It will require proper advice from state agencies before any response is made. Mr. O'Neill said some issues are in court that require legal advice. At this time, the government or the Prime Minister's office will not provide any response in a manner requested. However, UPNG SRC President Kenneth Rapa told MTV News that he is yet to receive any response from the Prime Minister, while lay Unitec SRC President David Kelma confirmed he has received it. Meanwhile, UPNG Senate today have met to discuss the academic year. The Senate has not released a decision yet whether to continue the academic year, but UPNG Public Relations Officer Jim Robbins has said the response will be given as soon as possible because most parents are concerned with their children's future. Adelaide Xerox Kari, National MTV News.
Despite being diagnosed with kidney failure, radio great Roger Hawofa has reached out to other sufferers. Yesterday, Mr. Hawofa launched the Kokoda for Kidneys fundraiser to purchase dialysis machines for treatment in the country. The K4K, or Kokoda for Kidneys, is a tracking fundraiser to raise awareness on kidney diseases, importance of healthy lifestyle, and general fitness.
Since his diagnosis of kidney failure in 2015, the radio legend has gone regular dialysis sessions with initial medical advice to undergo a kidney transplant. However, the radio great is now off air and breaking new barriers to fundraise for the purchase of dialysis machines for ordinary Papua New Guineans to access this life-saving treatment.
To join organizations like the Kokoda for Kidney and the Kidney Foundation and all the other people who are trying to do something about the lifestyle diseases that's now grabbing Papua New Guinea.
Kidney specialist Dr. Steve Bogosia is a medical officer at the Port Moresby General Hospital. Dr. Bogosia says the admission of patients is on the rise and serious consideration must be given to treat and detect cancer.
How many years ago we had 100% case fatality? Anybody who had kidney failure, we just told them, this is the end of the road if you don't have the money.
The fundraiser will see 27 trekkers walk the famous Kokoda trek from July 17 to 23 July 2016. People from all walks of life, including Tourism Minister Tobias Kulang, will be taking part.
We want to help to raise awareness so that we can make those services become available. Not only available, but affordable as well for the ordinary Papua New Guinean.
Kokoda for Kidneys co-founder Michelle Haufer says their struggle is not personal but significant for every Papua New Guinean diagnosed with cancer.
We can't just walk away now. What we're doing is not just for our dad, but for the people of Papua New Guinea. This is bigger than all of us now, and we really believe it is our duty now to make a difference to our country.
Kokoda for Kidney is now launched. Thank you.
Jaglapava Jr. National EMTV News.
Work on a national policy on cancer is in progress by the National Health Department. This policy will give directions to the Health Department on how cancer could be treated and improve efforts of early detection. Health Secretary Pasco Kase says this framework is closely finalized by the department's technical team.
In an interview with EMTV yesterday, Secretary Kase said cancer remains an issue for Papua New Guinea. He says the cancer policy will guide the department by providing a regulatory framework to provide an enabling environment in which cancer equipment and other needs can be met.
The policies on cancer in Papua New Guinea, and so now the enabling legislation has now progressed, and I'm happy that the IEA have assisted the department to develop that law.
Secretary Kase says there has been constant increase in the number of patients seeking treatment for cancer, which cervical and oral cancer are the main types. In Papua New Guinea, the Health Department is still struggling to collect data and provide a detailed report of cancer.
We don't have a central data system, so I don't know how many people there, how many ladies there, the doctors are seeing ladies with breast cancer. I have no idea. They're doing their own things, and we're doing our own things here. Any other province, Kerema, maybe Daru, I don't know. People, each hospital is doing their own stuff. There is no central coordinating.
With the non-renewal of contracted oncologist Dr. John Niblet, Secretary Kase says the cancer unit will now be under the supervision of Engau General Hospital. Kase maintained that cancer services will continue with more development in equipment and recruitment of cancer specialists.
We are now preparing for more developments, new equipments. So certainly we will require new experts also to come on board to assist us operate this new equipment.
The cancer policy was approved and developed by the National Executive Council late last year. Jaglapava Jr. National EMTV News.
A contract was signed yesterday for major road rehabilitation for East Cape in the Milne Bay province. China Overseas Engineering Group was awarded the contract ahead of 3 other bidders. The contract is valued at over 89 million kina and will be jointly funded by the World Bank and the national government.
The signing of the contract for the East Cape Road rehabilitation took place at the Government House in Port Moresby this morning. Governor-General Grand Chief Sir Michael Ogio executed the contract on behalf of the state. China Overseas Engineering Group Co. or COVAC was awarded the contract ahead of Dekanai Constructions. Company representatives Ding Shi and Hu Gang were on hand and signed on behalf of the company, witnessed by Secretary for Department of Works David Were. The over 89.5 million kina contract is for the road upgrade and sealing from Yalua to Kehelala, covering approximately 51 kilometers. The contract will be jointly funded by the World Bank and the national government. The World Bank will put in 78% of the cost, while the PNG government will chip in 22% of the cost. Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News.
Bank South Pacific hosted its annual general meeting today in Port Moresby. BSP Group CEO Robin Fleming made a presentation to shareholders on the bank's overall performance in 2015, as well as the performance summary of the first quarter of 2016. The presentations showed that it was another successful year for BSP, with a majority of its businesses having performed well despite challenging economic times.
A media conference was held following BSP's annual general meeting to present the bank's first quarter results. It was conducted by BSP Group CEO Robin Fleming and Board Chairman Sir Costas Constantino. Mr. Fleming said people have been putting forth negative sentiments about the PNG economy, and whilst some downturn in economic activity was experienced in certain areas, there are a lot of positive sentiments that need to be recognized for future progress.
The GDP growth rate in PNG remains higher than each of the countries in which we operate, and total GDP output in PNG is the equivalent of double the other countries all put together.
The first quarter results include a 143.7 million Kina net profit after tax. This is a 2% increase from the outcome of the last quarter in December 2015.
Good growth in our balance sheet. Our income had reduced marginally, but equally we were able to provide a lot of cost control to ensure that our full quarter outcome was better than the prior quarter in 20.
Regarding the bank's 2015 performance, Mr. Fleming said the year reflected a strong, better-than-market performance and the execution of BSP's growth strategy around the Pacific, where it acquired the businesses of Cook Islands, Samoa, Tonga and Solomon Islands.
I think the message that people within PNG and through the Pacific, we are a really true Pacific bank. There is not another bank in the Pacific that is a true Pacific bank.
Deli Waigeno, National, EMTV News.
And now a look at the finance news. The Kina opened unchanged at $0.3160 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina was buying $0.3085 $0.4239 Australian dollars, $0.2723 euro and 33.67 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold, coffee and cocoa closed lower, while copper closed the day unchanged. Palm oil and copper closed lower, while crude oil closed the day higher. And on the stock markets, the Dow Jones closed 91 points lower, the ASX closed 24 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed 26 points higher as well. Among stories after the break, rescuers still searching for missing Egypt Air that disappeared off the radar between Paris and Cairo. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. Member for Kerama, Richard Mendani, announced today that he has joined the opposition. Mr. Mendani said he has resigned from the United Resource Party and will now join PNG Party, led by Vanimo Green MP Belden Nama.
The announcement of Mr. Mendani's move was made at a media conference this afternoon. Member for Vanimo Green and leader of the PNG Party, Belden Nama, happily welcomed Mr. Mendani.
Today I want to announce to the supporters of Papua New Guinea throughout the country that PNG Party is alive, well and truly alive, and we are ready to lead this country.
Also present at the announcement was PNG Party General Secretary Kila Poka and other members of the party.
Today I want to announce that I have lost confidence in the Prime Minister. I'm a believer in maintaining stability in government. But the problems that is affecting the country is just too much. And for me as a leader of this country, and knowingly turning a blind eye to it, that would be a crime or a sin.
Mr. Mendani's move now brings the number of PNG Party members in Parliament to 2. Deli Waigeno, National, EMTV News.
Lake District's Department of Agriculture and Livestock continues to support women and men in promoting a local floriculture industry. 63 women and 5 men at Bumayong, Ward 17 of Morabit Province graduated today after a week's training. The training is funded by DAL and the first of its kind in the area. It aims to engage women in the floriculture industry. The training is an indication of the growing interest of women to participate in a potential industry for earning income. The training saw not only women but men who showed interest in the growing and arranging of flowers and plants. Schools in Lae have been dismissing students from classes as of yesterday following the continuous public unrests in the city. Several primary schools in Lae called off classes yesterday and others today. Lae's Milford Haven Primary School head teacher, Yellow Amo, is concerned about the school's students' attendance. saying if the unrests go on, learning may be disrupted.
He says students' attendance in classrooms had dropped since yesterday. The current public unrest in the city has not only signaled warnings to business houses, it has also stirred fear among the young population attending schools.
Today, as I speak, the enrollment in my class, in all the classes in my school is far below. Most of the children are scared, so they're staying away from classes.
This school enrolls over 600 students with primary and elementary school levels. Today, its elementary school remained closed, with the younger students asked to stay home and not come to school till Monday. A week ago, when the public demonstrations began in the city, primary and secondary schools have since been knocking off classes halfway through the days.
People are not really doing the thing they're supposed to be doing. Some of them are scared to go to work, and school children also affected. Some of the schools, they closed up early as yesterday. Some of the schools are still closed. Even my elementary school on the other side is closed.
The head teacher here says the school can only hope for normalcy to return, but for the time being, students in Ley are distracted by the current civil unrest in the country. Meanwhile, Morobes Primary School Inspector Kit Tangui says normal classes should resume by Monday. Colin Barilai, National EMTV News, Ley.
Overseas now, and the search for Egypt Air Flight 804 is continuing after reports that the plane's wreckage has been found elsewhere were false. The Airbus A320 with 66 people on board disappeared yesterday as it flew from Paris to Cairo.
Tonight, an urgent search is underway in the Mediterranean Sea. The U.S. Navy has deployed a P-3 Orion aircraft to help in the search for Egypt Air Flight 804. Officials in Egypt and in the U.S. believe this was likely an act of terrorism.
If you look at the situation properly, the possibility of a terror attack is more likely than a technical problem.
At 11:09 p.m., the plane took off from Paris en route to Cairo. At 1:24 a.m., it entered Greek airspace. At 1:48, it checked in at the next control point, Kina Island, south of Athens. Greek officials said the pilot was cheerful and thanked the air traffic controllers. 2:27 a.m., the first sign something is wrong. Despite repeated calls from air traffic control, the pilots do not respond. Then, just 2 minutes later, the plane's signal dropped from the radar. Greek officials say the aircraft plunged from its cruising altitude of 37,000 feet down to 10,000 feet when it disappeared from radar. Egypt Air officials say the plane, an Airbus A320, was relatively new and the pilot very experienced.
He has 6,000 hours total flying hours, 2,000 on this type, good reputation, and he was a colleague of mine, yes.
A U.S. official says the plane made stops in Eritrea and Tunisia, but was swept by security when it stopped in Paris before leaving for Cairo. This is just the latest incident for Egypt Air. In May, a man falsely claiming to be wearing a suicide vest hijacked a plane with 72 people on board. And in 1999, U.S. investigators said a deliberate act brought down an Egypt Air plane near Nantucket Island, killing more than 200 on board. In Egypt, in October, a Russian Metrojet airliner crashed after taking off from Sharm el-Sheikh airport. ISIS claimed responsibility for placing a bomb on board.
You're watching National EMTV News. Trukai Sports is next. We'll be back with the details.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. PNG Media Pool launched its 2016 competition last night at the Lamana Gold Club. The competition is set to kick off on the 4th of June, with many people showing interest to register.
After a year of absence from competition, Chairman Tony Sipper says they're set to run the 24-week competition, with many excited to get back.
This year has been good, and they've all paid and which is good for the competition. And we're happy to we are launching the competition today, and we're ready to kickstart the competition, which will be starting on the 4th next month.
24 teams will take part this year. Many have put in entries to compete, but SIPA explained that priority is usually given to existing teams.
But our rules is always the same. We give preference to participating teams, and then if they don't, the requirements that they have to, commit to, if they don't meet those commitments, then, we bring in new teams or whatever.
Players will be chosen from the competition to represent NCD in the 7 PNG Games in Kimbe. They first entered the PNG Games in 2014 and are looking forward to this year's Games.
We supply all the players from this competition. We got invited into the Games, and we had teams. We've got a few teams in the competition, but this year in Kimbe, we're going to make the team bigger.
Sports Ministry, the National Gaming Control Board, have come on board to support the competition.
The reason why we boosted the sponsorship for this year is because of the confidence that we have in the administration and management of the PNG Media Pool competition. As you have just re-elected them again, as your executives, it shows me that we've done the right thing as well.
Team registration is open and closes in the next 3 weeks. Elijah Lavette, National EMTV Sports.
Papua New Guinea football fans are in for a treat as tickets to 3 key events go on sale. The OFC Nations Cup, the Under-20 Women's International Friendlies, and the Senior Men's International against Malaysia have collectively been dubbed the Football Festival and will get underway on the 24th of this month and continue right through to the 17th of June.
The Women's International Tri-Nation Series has the Papua New Guinea Under-20 women's team make their first foray into international action with the Under-20 Tri-Nation Series between PNG, Japan and USA, set to kick off days before the OFC Nations Cup. The tickets will soon be out on sale. And OFC and PNGFA President David Chung says the objective has been to make the tickets affordable for as many people as possible. Chung said he wants to see the stands full, so having affordable price options is an opportunity for football fans across the board to come along and watch. He added that the match timings are 4 p.m. and 7 p.m., which is good for working football fans as they can come and watch their favorite teams play after work or school. In addition to individual match tickets, packages are also available for those wanting to watch all 15 OFC Nations Cup matches or all 3 Under-20 Tri-Nation matches. The package to watch all 15 Nations Cup matches is just 200 Kina, while the 3 women's matches can be watched for 80 Kina. The package includes the final and is for grandstand seats. The individual Under-20 women's trial match ticket prices are yet to be announced.
Because the OFC Nations Cup starts immediately, we need to get these tickets out straight away. And we don't want it to confuse the 2 competitions. So we'll advertise and sell these tickets first, but there'll be announcements as we go along into the week.
Shane Saroya, National EMTV Sports.
And Trukai Sports continues after the break. Don't go away.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. Fiji Sevens has been in the spotlight since NFL convert Jared Hayne joined the team in training as they prepare for the London Sevens, which is set for this weekend. Jared Hayne hasn't been guaranteed a spot in the final team for this weekend's tournament, but is hopeful coach Ben Ryan will give him a run.
After turning his back on the San Francisco 49ers to make the Rio Olympics with the Fiji Sevens team, Jared Hayne has made headlines in Australia and New Zealand's media since he announced his intentions to qualify for the Olympic Games with the gold medal favourites for Sevens.
And this is going to be trouble for the Aussies. Very. He's super fast. He's off and running. Very.
Jared Hayne has recently joined the Fiji Sevens team in preparations for the London Sevens this weekend. And coach Ben Ryan said Hayne's inclusion into his final squad will be entirely up to Hayne if he can earn a spot in the team. The Fiji Sevens team has their sights firmly set on the gold medal at the Olympic Games. But in their quest, they will face stiff competition from the South African Blitzboks, New Zealanders, and upcoming favourites Kenya. Fiji Sevens have been consistent performers in the World Sevens Series circuit and are currently sitting at the top of the table. ahead of South Africa and New Zealand. Dion Kombang, National EMTV Sports.
And that ends True Kai Sports, but don't go away, we'll be back with the weekend weather after these messages.
True Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
Here's a look at the weather for the next 24 hours in the southern region. Port Moresby, showers with a top temperature of 32 degrees. A few showers in Daru with a top temperature of 32 as well. Thundery showers in Kerma, a shower or two in Alotau and Popondetta. To the Momase region, a few showers in Lei, a few showers in Wau, Medang, Wewak and Vanimo, a few showers as well. To the New Guinea Islands region, thundery showers expected in Loranga with a top temperature of 31 degrees, mostly fine and 32 for Kavieng, Kokopo, Rabaul, Kimbe and Buka, Autonomous Region of Bougainville. And in the Highlands region, Mount Hagen, Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Wabeg, you can all expect some showers with morning fog. To a look at the forecast for small ships for the next 24 hours, waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru to Kiwai Island, to Kerama, Yule Island to Hood Point to Samarai Island with waters of eastern and western Milne Bay Islands, seas 0.5 to 1.5 meters. Waters of Samarai Island to Cape Vogel to Finschhafen with waters of Long Island to Medang, Bogia, Wewak, Aitape, Vanimo and northern PNG Indonesian border with waters of New Island, Manus, its western group of islands with waters of Bougainville and east and west New Britain, seas 0.5 to 1.3 meters. Waters of Finschhafen through Whittier Strait to Long Island including CSC Island and Dampier Strait, seas 0.3 to 1 meter. And finally, a look at the ocean forecasts. Coral Sea, seas moderate with northeasterly winds at 15 to 20 knots with gusts. Solomon Sea, seas slight with northeast to southwesterly winds at 10 to 15 knots. Bismarck Sea, seas slight with easterly winds at 5 to 15 knots. And Pacific Ocean, seas slight to moderate with northeast to easterly winds at 10 to 15 knots. And that's today's news, sports and weather. On behalf of the EMTV News team, have a pleasant weekend. Good night.